Hey everybody, today is Sunday, November 4th, 2018, and I thought I would do something a little bit unique today, and that is take you on a little bit of a tour of what we look at, think about, discuss over the course of a trading day in the Miller-Dane Trader Network. Over the past 6 months, have spent so much time at this end building the network out. Making sure that we've got a core service and an effort which is income accretive at each of the trader office ends. So I haven't really done that much on the public front. I haven't done much on Twitter. It's been all focused on making sure that we are again providing an asset to the trading offices that are part of our network. So I'm going to spend some time today, and hopefully the technical aspects will go on without a glitch. I will tell you my camera's over here, and what I'm going to be referring to at my end is over here. So I'm not going to be looking at the camera as I do this. So bear with me, as it's been a while since I've done one of these streams. So what I'm showing here is basically what we stream to each of the offices over the course of each trading day. Now, we all know that there are so many ways that you can view the market, so many ways that you can measure the market. I've often referenced that you don't really need a ruler and a tape measure and a yardstick to measure something that's probably going to show up in one way or another via any of those mechanisms. So again, recognizing and stipulating to the fact that there are many ways to set your screens up, many things to look at in the market, I'm going to share with you what we look at over the course of the trading day. I may have referenced, I'm pretty sure I did when we launched this, that we have a rather unique data streaming agreement and arrangement with the data providers. We actually are allowed to stream this content over the course of the trading day. We've gotten written authorization, and that is something that has really been useful and helpful in terms of doing what we can and also doing it legally, which is not always the case out there. So we've gone to great lengths to make sure that we have full cooperation and agreements with all the data providers. So having said that, what you're looking at here is basically our streaming chart, and I'll use this as an example for the most part. You'll see that there are multiple tabs up here. We'll flip tabs over the course of the trading day, depending upon what the time of day is, what we might be looking at. But this is a pretty good representation of the dashboard of sorts. Those of you that have followed me over the years or have been through the Jelly Trader training programs know that I'm a big believer in looking at multiple time frames. Have done some strong incorporation over the past few years in terms of cumulative delta, a little bit of volume profile, but that's more of a side view mirror, to use the analogy of driving a car. So we'll kind of talk through that. But other than that, you essentially see what I have been looking at over the past 25 years of doing this. So not much has changed really. But essentially what you see is we'll go clockwise, starting in the top left-hand corner. We've got what I refer to as the magnifying glass of a 1 minute chart, basically. Very simple 1 minute chart, which really is most often used in terms of taking some very tight breakouts. When I want to magnify and actually see exactly where something is breaking, where it might not be as clear on a larger time frame chart. That's what that's for. That's sort of like the magnifier on your side view mirror, again, using the analogy of a car dashboard or driving your car, where you have that little magnification insert. You don't want to drive your car by that, but there is time where you want to look at our times you want to look at that blind spot. And so that's really what that represents. Circling around to the next one, top center, that is a chart that many of you are familiar with. That is cumulative delta. Which is mathematical calculation and visual representation of the level of aggression in terms of buyers or sellers. This is programmed with some specific parameters which allow for very tight turns, very tight triggers in terms of ensuring that something is starting to do what we may expect it to do from a certain key level, and is very, very helpful. And that's all coded via a combination of Tilson moving averages, as well as the background, as you can see, which changes color in terms of when the aggression changes from one side to another. We can talk a lot about all the various technical indicators out there. We can talk a lot about Fibonacci's. We can talk a lot about many ways to create and look at levels. Yet there can be no question that when there is a mathematical proof that the aggressors at any given point in time are all of a sudden doing something in mass and change, then that allows all the subjectivity to go out the window and allows us to trade on very objective data. So that's essentially what that is. It's a 3-minute chart that we reference quite a bit. Top right, just circling around a little bit. Many of you are familiar with this 3-line break chart. Can be helpful for entries, triggers, especially in the stop setting side of things. Again, a little bit like that right side view mirror. We're not driving based on that, but it's good to know. We do have a volume profile chart that we have insert here to the middle and lower right-hand side. Primarily how we use this is in instances where there are low volume nodes that represent a market stopping point. Very little volume is transacted at that particular point in time, and the market is likely to move either back into the higher volume area or actually start a breakout to the other side. But 9 times out of 10, often a very, very good level. And when that is syncing up with a lot of our other stuff that we look at, it can be equally powerful. And what we'll actually do over the course of the trading day is we will use arrows in terms of representing key lean points that allow all of us to look at this set of charts in common, if you will, and ensure that we're all kind of looking at the same thing, leveraging off of the same point. And so we do things like that. Something else we do over the course of the day as we continue to go through these charts is we'll use an ellipse tool quite a bit when we're in a trade. Let's say we see a short trigger up here. We'll go ahead and put an ellipse target range in here. And, this is often set at, for example, if we're expecting a move down, if we trigger a move down here, just conceptually, first target is typically the prior swing high or low. In this case, it would be the prior swing low. So we'll target that. And if there's a possible extension beyond that, that'll allow for further penetration into that target. So we're often flashing these over the course of the trading day, as well as these arrows, which really brings us to that center chart in the lower center, in the middle center, which is really a combination of a few things. It's you see a lot of colors there, first of all. It's a combination of a basic price chart up top. You see a momentum indicator in the middle, which is basically there are many industry momentum indicators out there. This is a little bit of a steroids version of that that we have programmed that provides additional information over and above just your simple line crosses and that sort of a thing. And then you see our proprietary Miller-Dane Trading Network bias indicator set on the bottom, which is just huge for what we do. And without going to all of the details, row 1 is typically, row 1 is cumulative delta for the time frame that we're watching. Row 2 is the slope, the current slope of the 3-minute chart. Bias 3, the way we programmed it right now, it reflects a 15-minute chart slope. And then 4 through 7, it's really a mix. There's proprietary data, algorithms. There's about 25 different mathematical calculations that have been built into each of those biases, so that without needing to understand how each one of those is programmed, by having it boiled down to a very simple color, has allowed us to use this in a way where we don't have to mentally think about so many things over the course of the trading day. And so that's what this bias grid is all about. And we refer to this often over the course of the day as it can be SOR for sea of red, it can be SOB for sea of blue, and basically a reminder of where the prevailing winds are blowing. And especially when you see a shift, from a blue bias, which is one of the things that we saw as Friday was playing out, a shift in bias from the upside to the downside. You can see that very clearly, not only in your bar charts and your momentum chart, but in terms of all the math that goes into these bias indicators. You see that very clearly, and it makes it a lot easier to be able to trade from one side of the market, easier than another. So the combination of all of this is something that we're looking at on a continual basis and helping us keep us on the right side of the market. Continuing around the horn, if you will, lower left-hand corner, we've got basically 5K tick chart. That gives us a little bit of a larger view, larger perspective, right? So that's kind of your rear view mirror in the car. That's looking behind you. And then middle left is 15-minute chart, and we'll often vary this between 15-minute charts, maybe a 60-minute chart. Here's the 60, and again, giving us a little bit of a perspective. And you see right now in terms of how Friday traded that we're going to be opening up most likely tonight in the area of 60-minute resistance or support for potential short triggers. So I'll have to see which way we break tonight, but. This is an example of what we will stream over the course of the day, and the beauty of this is that you move the line on one chart and it moves the lines on all the other charts, and the same thing will happen over the course of each tab. You move it on one chart, it'll move it on another one. Okay, so this is a tab. This is what we will monitor over the course of the ETH, says live ETH, which is an extended trading session. We have a version for a live RTH, the regular trading session, which will start at 9:30 Eastern in the States. We have one for once the initial balance sets in, where we've got the initial balance lines marked, so we don't have to mess with that over the course of the day. We've got charts. We continue through the tabs here. This one in particular, I'll clean this up a bit. This has matching side-by-side ES and NQ. So we know that often NQ can and has been a kind of a love-hate relationship. It's a very thin market, but there are times that'll be setting up much stronger from a technical perspective. And so we've got this one chart, one workspace here, where we are able to view markets side by side. Most of the traders in our room trade ES or some derivative of the S&Ps, whether it's the S&P futures, whether it's an ETF like the Spiders or SSO or SPX or Spider options. But we also have a subset, and even in my own trading, I'll occasionally switch over to the NASDAQ market, and this allows us to basically capture the same information on a side-by-side basis without you losing anything from ES. A couple of other tabs that we have here. We have one that is labeled NKD underscore ES. This is one where we will stream the Nikkei market effective 8 p.m., which will, I believe now with changing the clocks, will be 7 p.m. Going forward for 6 months. And very, very natural rhythms in terms of what happens to the markets when the Nikkei opens. So we've got one that has ES and then triggered by Nikkei. And then certainly when Shanghai opens about an hour later. So that's one we have. We have one which we call focus chart. This is kind of like that first chart that we looked at, first workbook, except it's really kind of boiling everything down in one chart. Even that you see a 15-minute insert chart here too, but we can even do away with that and just magnify this. And just when we want to zone in on, okay, let's really look through that windshield. Let's look through the current windshield and see what's happening so that we can ramp up our focus. We've got a series of charts here, which actually includes the advanced decline indicator, if you will. This is the 80 ratio, but very similar to if you're just watching or monitoring pure advanced decline. We have that we will monitor from time to time. And then we've got standard day charts. We'll often start our briefing off in the morning by taking a look at where the market is on a daily basis. We've got ES, NQ, and the Russell. And then we've got some pure volume profile charts in terms of this is ETH view, and here's RTH, and so we'll look side by side and just get a kind of a snapshot on where things are at. So I thought it would be helpful to go through really what that is all about and what we look at over the course of the day. What we've carved out here is really it's always intended to be a very unique network that can tether trading offices together, can provide some audio and some text context around the charts as they're evolving, because as we all know, these things evolve rapidly over the course of the day. What had been very bullish can become very bearish all of a sudden, and so it's really important for us to have a common data set and a common stream that we're all able to watch and monitor over the course of the day and talk about as it evolves, so that we're not having to make individual decisions. We can lean on one another. We have some of the world's best traders, I know for a fact, in our room. I know them. I know their records. It's an honor to be trading alongside of them, and we continue to lean on each other in an iron sharpens iron fashion. And it really is all about balancing collaboration, the benefits of collaboration, with the understanding that we all are trading our own individual accounts or our firm accounts or whatever. And it's a way of, again, uniting everybody in a way that's very unique, that's very professional. We do a lot of things, or I should say we don't do a lot of things in our venue that we are very conscious of keeping out. We do not allow after the fact posts, for example. How many times do you see out there that covering 2710 from 2720, and it's like, well, where was the entry? All of our posts are meant to be helpful. All of our posts are meant to be discussing things ahead of time. It's not a beat your chest environment. We don't allow for that. I have even removed some people because they have not understood really the intent of what we've done here. So it's all about, again, bringing a professional group of people together, providing insight, providing an environment that is helpful, that is beneficial. Rule number one, Hippocratic Oath, do no harm. Rule number two is make sure that what we can provide is far more income accretive than any modest fee that might be included. The other thing I wanted to mention really quickly before I wrap is we also have a growing library of videos, of archives. And I'll flip a picture of this in the post, but we're now up to, I think it's 29 or 30 different presentations that have been done, either by our chartist Kim or by Robin Dane, who has been just incredibly beneficial and graceful and courteous and strong and professional, and she has worked with such great traders, hedge funds, multi-millionaires, billionaires. She has seen it all, and she's a trader herself, and she trades alongside of us. And every 2 weeks, she gives us a presentation, an hour-long presentation. In most cases, she goes over the hour. And she did a great one just this past week that's been entitled "Human Needs in Trading." How you can subconsciously or even consciously bring some of your personal trash and garbage and needs, if you will, maybe not necessarily garbage, into the trading world, and how that can actually poison yourself as you're going about making discretionary trading decisions. There was one that she did a couple of weeks ago called, as I'm looking at the list here, Avoiding the Hamster Wheel. She's done the brain-body-mind connection, the dreaded fear of missing out, the brilliant trading mind, your brain and positive thinking, risk-reward behaviors. Each one of these she has put great time and care into, and again, one of the leading coaches in the trading industry. I am so privileged and blessed to have her alongside of us. We want to continue to build out a network which is, again, viewed as an asset for trading offices, income accretive, and also a way of just bringing everybody together in a way where we can be stronger as a team than we could be if we were doing this all on our own. Is it the only venue out there? Of course not. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But we learn week by week, day by day, month by month, and continue to make tweaks in such a way where it's available. Again, I apologize. I'm probably the world's worst marketer because I haven't spent really much of any time since we launched, explaining what we do here, because it's all been about trading alongside of all these folks. And I tell them every morning I love them. I am honored to be alongside of them. And we're going to continue in that vein. But I did want to spend a few minutes today sharing with you a little bit. It's not about the charts. It's not all about the world's best indicators or signals. It's about making sense of all of this in a collaborative environment where, by using a common data stream, we can all be talking about the same thing and looking about the same thing. And even though we might trade differently off of this, we've had a couple of times where on the down channels lately, we've had some folks trading the down channel off of the moves toward the wholesale pricing on the short side, and others just waiting for it to stop. And once it stops, pauses, we get the delta turn, then we're in hard for 8, 10, 12-point bounce. So again, there are different variations of how people can trade this. Yet by and large, we work very hard at rowing together. So that we can help generate confidence and conviction with folks, and it's worked very well based on feedback from the past 6 months. So that's a little bit of an overview of what we do here. Maybe another time I'll take you through the Slack room. We use a combination of the Zoom audio feed and Slack channels. We have a number of channels in there where we put all of our setups in that we refer to over the course of the day. We have a main trading room where anybody can comment if it's related to the current trade. In progress. We also have one called that I've referred to in the past, water cooler room, for any off-topic stuff. We don't allow any politics. We don't allow for any ego. We don't allow for people to come in and sell. And we are very, very firm on that. Again, I'm not interested in a money grab for subscription revenue. I'm actually a subscriber myself to this. And we are continuing to work along the lines of let's keep it clean, let's keep it professional, let's keep a core group here. We've got about 100 trading offices right now that we continue to to keep as a core and grow from there. Do we grow from there? I don't know. I'm not looking at numbers, but I am looking at continuing to create what I believe is one of the finest collaborative trading networks in the world. So with that, we'll continue along that mission. I wish you all a great trading week. God bless you all, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you.